Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public, the wonderful people here on the island of Nevis, those on our sisters and kits, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean. Good evening to all of you who listen in the United States and Canada, those who are in the United Kingdom. Those are the main geographic areas that people tune in, but I do know that people are listening as far away as Belize and even as far away as Taiwan. If you listen in Taiwan, I want to say good evening to my colleagues who are there at the moment, the Honorable Deputy Premier Eric Evelyn, and he's accompanied by our Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Stedman Truss, and advisor to the Premier and Senator in the National Assembly, the Honorable Latoya Jones. And I wish them all the very best and trust and hope that their trip goes well. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis and host of the show. I want to start by thanking the Honorable Eric Evelyn, who has hosted this show over the past 2 weeks, and to say that he, by agreeing to host the show over the past 2 weeks, allowed me to take a break. I was overseas with my wife. I had some business meetings, but also took the opportunity to have a bit of a holiday. I, as usual, made an announcement because I believe that it is important to be forthright and open with the public that I serve. And so I would have made an announcement that I was traveling and that whilst on my trip I would have some business meetings. I did that. Those meetings, of course, were related to potential development here on the island of Nevis. And I also, as I said, took some time with my wife to enjoy a bit of a holiday. Having said that, I realized that my statement created some type of stir, and some people, as they are, want to do, started to suggest that I was somehow trying to get a holiday at taxpayers' expense. I want to make it very clear that whenever I go away and I'm going at taxpayers' expense, that is clear because I say that I'm going on official business. This was a trip that was a personal trip. I merely indicated that whilst on that trip I would in fact have a few meetings, and that is what I did. And so the taxpayers of Nevis were in no way, shape or form responsible for any aspect of my trip, and not one penny would have left the Nevis Treasury in support of my efforts overseas. And I just want to make that clear. We have a number of mischief makers in this country who continue to try their very best to create a lot of sound and fury, and for everything that they see, even if they don't understand, even if they have no comprehension of what is happening, they try to make something out of it. And so sometimes these misinformation, this effort at misleading people, can be easily resolved by asking a question. I think those that know me know that my politics is one of openness. I've always been very clear and very transparent. You may not like the answer you get, but I will answer you. I'm not the type to shy away whenever it comes to a matter that is of public importance. And I find it curious, and I've always said that people would constantly try to suggest that those of us who have made the sacrifice, and yes, that's the word I want to use, who have made the sacrifice to be in public service, to try to do better for the country and for the people of the country, are constantly being vilified by those who seem to see government as only a vehicle to benefit themselves, only a vehicle for personal benefit and personal profit. I have said it multiple times before that if I were interested in personal benefit and personal profit, I would have stayed at my law firm, because that's where I used to make money. Being in government is a service. It's an effort to try to create a platform and create a society that all of us can benefit from. And I believe that the evidence is clear that our efforts thus far have yielded considerable fruit, and that we are making good progress. And so I thank Eric for the opportunity, because I was away and I knew that the show was in good hands and I had no difficulty. In that same vein, I would like to thank the Honorable Troy Libert, because he also from time to time hosts the show, and again I can sleep comfortably knowing that the show is in good hands. Over the years we've developed a show with good standards, and I know that when those gentlemen are hosting that the standard is maintained, and so I would want to thank them for that. Now, I want to say a little bit about my trip, because every time I travel I try to make some observations. I'm always looking to see if there are things there that those countries are doing that we can adopt, and equally if there are things that they're doing that would not fit and would not be right for us. On my trip, I was privileged to visit Switzerland, a country that I had heard much about, but I had never visited before. And we were able to drive throughout Switzerland. And one of the things I noticed in Switzerland was the complete absence of any garbage. There was no trash on the sides of the road, no discarded bottles. You could not even find a piece of chewing gum. No bottle caps, no paper, no candy wrappers. The place was clean to the point where you thought you could eat off the roads, you could eat off the sidewalk. And we drove for miles and miles in Switzerland, and that was an observation that stood out. How absolutely clean this country was. Switzerland is a country of just over 8 million people. Naturally, it must generate garbage, but it speaks to the values of that country and the values of the people in that country. That they see that they ought not to litter and that they ought to keep their country clean. And I thought that that was an important observation and something that I made a mental note to speak about in the next opportunity that I had on this show, and that opportunity is now. At mornings, I tend to do a bit of walking from one place to the next to get a bit of exercise. And I continue to be amazed at the number of bottles, styrofoam containers, those bag drinks or box drinks containers. And the only conclusion that I could arrive at is that people are merely throwing them out of their cars or their moving vehicles as they drive. And I just want to say to our people, Nevis is such a beautiful place. As beautiful as Switzerland is, and it is a beautiful country, Nevis is as beautiful, if not more. But ultimately it is up to us. The good men and women at Solid Waste do an excellent job, but they can't do it by themselves. And I ask you, how hard could it be if you happen to be in your car eating your lunch in your styrofoam container to just keep it until you get to a trash receptacle and dispose of it properly? If you have had your drink, your Guinness, your water, your whatever it may be, how hard could it be to just put it in the holder? Most vehicles have a cup holder until you get to a place where you can discard of it properly. Instead of that, you fling it out the window. Sometimes I see the styrofoam containers, they got chicken bone and remnants of rice and all kind of thing. Imagine somebody could be so nasty, and that's the word I'm going to use because it's the only word I could use. So nasty that you eat, bite up your chicken bone and throw out your styrofoam container out of your car window onto the streets of Nevis. We need to really take a close look at ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at what we're doing and whether or not we really love this island, because all of us, when we get on a platform, we try to say how much we love. All of us, mi banya. Well, if you're born here, take care of it. Take care of it. So much on this island could be better if only our people took the conscious decision to do what is right. To do what is right and what is proper. And throwing your garbage out of your moving car cannot be right and cannot be proper. Taking your old fridge or your old stove or your old microwave and dumping it into our guts cannot be right and proper. The charges at the solid waste are negligible. And I've heard so many reports of persons hiring people to transport their waste to the dump. And those people who have been hired, choosing instead to go and dump it into the guts and the ravines and the areas of Nevis. For an island this size, an island that is this pristine, an island that is this beautiful, an island that caters to high-end visitors coming from all around the world to enjoy what we have. I would want us, ladies and gentlemen, to agree to keep our island clean. I sometimes wonder as people come out of their yards in the morning and they see garbage strewn about because the donkeys or the goats or whatever has got to the bin. Don't they say, listen, this is around my gate, let me pick it up? In fact, I will tell you that as Premier of Nevis, I have had people call me and say to me that I ought to pay someone. One chap said I ought to pay him so that they can clean up their own neighborhood. So I said to myself, well, when did we get to that point in Nevis? When you could come out your gate, see garbage in front of your gate, and call the government to tell the government that they must pay somebody to come and clean the garbage from in front of your gate. And so, at mornings, I confess, as I walk, I pick up bottles, I pick up what trash I see on the sides of the road, and I dispose of it, because there are a number of receptacles along the routes that I walk. It just takes a little effort, a little consciousness, a little patriotism, a little love of country in order for us to do what is right. And I'm not asking anything onerous of anyone. It is not something that is difficult. If you're going to sit down and drink, if you're going to drive and drink whatever you're drinking in your car, if you decide that your car is your restaurant, you're going to eat there at your dining room, that's your business. But don't discard of your garbage indiscriminately all across the island, because it gives a bad impression of who we are. And I know that none of our parents and grandparents who raised us that way. So those bad habits, those were not habits that we grew up with in this island. And so as I looked at Switzerland and saw that for 8+ million people, I could find not even a bit of chewing gum or bottle cap on the roads, on the verges, on the highways, nothing. I said to myself that I ought to comment on it, because I think that we can do the same. It is in fact easy to do if each and every one of us takes that decision that we will not litter. I will say no more on that, but I'm really hopeful that our people will take that message to heart and do better. I move on because those who know me know that I have never shied away from controversial topics. And that where necessary, I've been willing to speak and to speak out and to make my opinion known. For some, they like straight speakers. For others, they find it offensive. Well, I know I can't please everyone. And when people say you must try harder to please everyone, I remind everyone that Jesus was perfect and still he was crucified. Jesus was perfect, and when the crowd was given the choice, the crowd chose a criminal called Barabbas and said, crucify Jesus. Set Barabbas free and crucify our Lord and Savior. So I understand that even a perfect individual will not at all get the support of everyone. And I am far from perfect. So people disagreeing with me doesn't really bother me. In a democracy, we all are entitled to our opinion. And so I respect everybody's right to have their opinion. But I think that some matters as politicians we don't address. We don't address them because sometimes to say that people are behaving irresponsibly, the response that you get from some quarters is you shouldn't say that. That means you don't like people, or that means you don't like poor people. Well, I know that there are certain prescriptions out there that if you follow them, certain pathways that if you follow them, and if you're poor, it will guarantee that you remain poor. I believe that that is the case. That if there are certain things that you're doing and that you're up to do, that you're going to run yourself into that situation and into that problem over and over again. And one of the things that I keep talking about publicly, because I think that it needs to be talked about publicly, is the tendency of our people to spend what they do not have. The tendency of our people to aspire to material things that they cannot afford. And not a good aspiration in the sense that, oh, I like that car, I will work towards it and save my money towards it, but rather an aspiration that says, I want it now, whether or not I'm able to afford it. And sometimes as I talk to people, they say, well, my neighbor has one, or this person I went to school with has one. And many times in relation to children, you hear the argument that other children in the class have it. And I keep talking about it, and some say that I ought not to. In fact, one night I came and I had a program here and I talked about our people being responsible. And when the show was over, a good friend of mine called me and asked me, boy, you want to lose the election? And I said, why? He said, you can't tell people to be responsible. Whatever people are doing, you must act as if they're right because they have the vote. But to me, that would not be responsible leadership. A leader is supposed to try his best or her best to inspire our people to do better. And a major part of the problem that we're having in our country is that our people continue to squander their resources, to waste their money, and to do things with their money that are not necessary, not essential, but to do them for a variety of reasons. I had a meaningful and insightful discussion with someone recently, and they said they blame social media for that phenomenon. And I said, what do you mean? They said, we blame social media because everybody wants to post up themselves on Facebook and Instagram, and since they can't post the same dress or the same outfit twice, then they must have different outfits because they want to be sure that people are seeing them and they're looking their best. I will be the first to say there's nothing wrong with that. I will, however, add the caveat, if you can afford it. And too many of our people are seeking to post up and show out and glam up, buy the latest hair, the nails, the shoes, the clothing. In case of the men, they're at the bar, round upon round of drinks. By the time the afternoon is done, they have had 8-10 Guinness and have bought 6 rounds. And then what happens Monday morning? No money for school, no money for food, no money for Nevlek and Skillick, no money for hospital, nothing for health care, no money for water. And then you hear the cry, things bad in the country, things are hard. Imagine they want to cut off me light and cut off me water for non-payment. But the cost of your shoes could have paid water for the year. The cost of the one outfit or the one fit could have kept your electricity connected for 3 months. You know, our people want what they want, and I understand that. Our people aspire to what they aspire to, and I understand that. And believe me when I say there is nothing wrong. Ambition and aspiration are normal human traits that we ought to encourage. But we also ought to instill in our people that those who have made a success of themselves have done so over time. They have done so through investment, saving, delaying sometimes certain consumption because they're building towards a particular goal. They have not got to where they've got to because every time their neighbor got something new, their neighbor get a 30-inch television, so they must get one that's 40. Their neighbor child wearing Nike, so they must wear Gucci. That's not how they got to where they are. They got to where they are by having a plan, being deliberate and sensible. I see people on this island and in this country who buy 3 meals a day. They buy breakfast, they buy lunch, and they buy dinner. And they're proud to tell you they can't cook. They don't know how to cook. And I reflect on the economics of that. And I said to myself, but on a monthly basis, I wonder if you just cut back, maybe just buy lunch, and take that money and buy some groceries. You know, if you cook a pound of rice, how many meals you could get out of that pound of rice? Now some may say, oh, you're telling people to live this way and live that way. What I'm telling people to do is to be responsible. If you know you have your Nevlec or Skelec bill to pay, you know that you have to find food to put in the house. You have children who are going to school, who should be your priority. Those men out there who would not give their child a cent in child support, but down at the bar on the afternoon, so they're buying rounds with their friends. And we're supposed to say, that is our culture, and well done. Well, how is a child supposed to eat? How is a child supposed to grow and develop to become a good citizen contributing to the development of St. Kitts and Nevis? And we who are in leadership positions need to say these things. We need to speak up and speak out. Not by way of condemnation, but by way of encouragement. And to say to our people that, listen, I don't care who they are, point them out to me in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anybody that you could point to and say is successful, that you consider successful. And I will show you somebody who has had a plan and has been responsible in terms of executing that plan to get to where they are. It is leading to a lot of problems and the constant competition, the constant need. Oh, you went to St. Kitts for your vacation? Well, I went Miami. Oh, you went Miami? Well, I went London. London, haha, I went Dubai. As I said, none of that is wrong if you can afford it. But my difficulty is after you've done that, after you've posted up your photos riding a camel in Dubai, in the desert, in an SUV, you're at the Burj Khalifa, you're eating shrimp, you come back and your electricity get cut off. And your water get cut off, and then you start to cuss the government. And you say it's a worthless bad government to cut off your water and your electricity. And they're killing poor people and things are bad in the country. Now I am not tonight trying to broad brush, because I do know that we do have people in the country who are struggling. In every country we have people who are struggling. And I certainly know that in Nevis we have created a number of social safety nets to make provision for our people and to try to assist our people. But I'm speaking to the broader issue of our people exhibiting responsible behavior. I sat somewhere with a couple recently. I went to a little restaurant and the husband and wife were talking to me, and they were explaining, the husband, how he and his wife built up what they have together, working together. So sometimes when he cuts the wood to put up the beam, the wife comes and holds it up for him while he nails it, because they were doing something together. They may not have had the money like their neighbor to go and hire a contractor or do it all at once, but they did it together, and now they have something of which they can be proud. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I think is important. There are some people in this country who they go to courts and take something, They go to TDC and take something. They go to Hosfords and take something. They are also owing the bank for something. And so by the time they get their pay, nothing is left. And what I want to say to our people sometimes, you know, you don't need to do everything all at once. Sometimes people feel, well, I rent a little house, I have a little house, and I must furnish every room with everything all at once. No. If, for example, you are a single person and you have a 2-bedroom place, well, you could only live in 1 bedroom. So if you don't have the money available to you, then do it incrementally. This month you buy a bed, you let that go. 3 months later you get a TV, you let that go. You do things in that way. But no, people want to go to this place and take everything, go to that place, and then one lady told me, she said by the time she's finished paying all of these various companies, she has $125 left to feed herself for the month. Well, we know $125 can't feed you for the month. You know, I have always marveled. I come from Hanley's Road, place called Scarborough. And we hear now people complain and say things are hard. And it is true that for some, things are difficult. But those days were really hard days. Those were days when you left your mother's house on a Saturday morning early as a boy. You didn't come back until night. And whatever you got to eat was what you got on the road, meaning guinea, mango, coconut. If you go down the bay and they're roasting fish, that is what you got to eat. I'm not saying, because clearly with time we have developed. But there's some lessons that we learned back then. And I always used to marvel that people in that setting, and now I look back, I realize how desperately poor people were. And yet, our forebears were able to save $1. They were able to put something aside out of their destitution. They thought there was value in squeezing a 25 cents here and a 50 cents there and putting it aside for a rainy day. Nowadays, especially with credit cards, we are not only just spending what we earn, the credit card is giving us a further sense, false sense of security, so we spend what we don't have as well. Because the credit card have a $5,000 limit on it, so we spend off that too. And then we got to pay 22% interest on top of what we owe. And the debt just keeps spiraling on us. We need to talk about these things. We need to have a conversation with our people. Because too many of our people, and especially some of our young people, seem to feel that life just happens. Oh, me want a car, me want a house. A youngster once approached me when I looked at the young lady. I admired her ambition, to be sure, but when I looked at the young lady could not have been more than 20, and said she want a house, she apply for a house and she not get she house. And I asked her, I said, well, let's just have a conversation. Are you in a position at your age, in terms of job and all that, to afford a house? How will you pay for it? When you get the house, do you recognize that you have insurance to pay? You know, have your light and your water and your various things to pay for? That a house needs upkeep and maintenance? You have your furniture, your gas, cooking gas, all of these things that you would have to pay for. And it was quite clear to me that nobody had ever sat down with this young woman and had a conversation with her. So all she saw was other people have a house and she want a house. And there's nothing wrong with that ambition. In fact, I encourage our people to want a house. But in terms of the planning to get there, putting yourself in a position that you can execute on your plan, there had been no thought given to that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8:30. I do know that the Health Promotion Unit had wanted to come in to speak about something that they were having, and I did ask them to call at 8:30. I'm not sure if they're on the line, but if they are, then I will take that call now. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good night. I'm calling on behalf of the Health Promotion Unit.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, so the Health Promotion Unit will be hosting a soccer size this Saturday at the Malcolm Gishard Park to commemorate the Caribbean Wellness Day. So we're looking forward for everyone to come out to support the event. We start at 6 a.m. and it's free. So we're looking forward for people to come out to be active with us on behalf of the Health Promotion Unit to commemorate the Caribbean Wellness Day for 2024.
All right, so you went a bit fast. Could you slow down a bit and give us that information again? So you're having a soccer size.
Yes.
It will be at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park.
Mm-hmm.
What day?
On Saturday.
This coming Saturday?
Yes, this coming Saturday.
And it starts at what time?
At 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Yes.
And it goes until when?
Until 7. It's an hour and a half exercise session.
Okay, so it will go to us at about 7:30 then?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what does soccer size entail?
Soccer size, basically we exercising to music, and it's a silent party as well, so it's an additional experience. So everyone will have their headphones on, and will be a soccer size exercise to music aerobics class, basically.
So if you're somebody like me who can't dance, what are you supposed to do?
You come and enjoy yourself. It's not a dancing session, it's a soccer size exercise session.
So
if you come and enjoy yourself.
So if you can't dance, I could still come?
Yeah, it's not a dancing, it's an exercise session.
It's an exercise to music, you say?
Yes.
So if we have on our headphones and so everybody is listening to some different song?
No, we already listen to the same music.
I see.
Yeah, so it will not be loud, it will be more of a personalized experience.
Yes.
And ultimately, we just want to expose the general public to different ways to exercise.
How many people are you expecting?
We're accommodating up to 100 persons.
Up to 100?
Yes. So we have a lot of space, we have accommodating for a lot of people to be there.
Okay, and any refreshments will be on offer?
Yes, there will be refreshments after the session. That too will be catered for, all on behalf of the Health Promotion Unit Nevis. And
do you have to register in advance?
Yes, or preferably there's a link that's available. They could call in to the office, and we could give them a link, and we will take the information for them to register. Because we want a person to register before to ensure that we are not going over the capacity, because we're accommodating for 100 persons.
All right. So you said there's a link. Do you have that link now that you can share?
No, I don't have the link available.
Do you have
online?
Do you have the telephone number that people can call then?
You will call the government switchboard and ask for Health Promotion Unit. That's the easiest way to get to us.
Okay, so the government switchboard, I think, is 469-5521.
Yeah.
Right? So if you call 469-5521, ask for the Health Promotion Unit, and then there they can learn how to register for your soccer size on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want us to know? You get a T-shirt or something? Is there a cost to register?
No, there's no cost to register. The first 100 persons will be receiving a personal exercise package. So there will not be a T-shirt this year, but there will be an exercise package that will be available for them to pick up after the event.
Okay, so you get an exercise package, you get some refreshments, and you get an hour and a half of soca size.
Yes.
Exercise to soca music, yeah?
Yes.
And that's this Saturday, 6 a.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Okay, you're most welcome. All right. I just want to commend the Health Promotion Unit. They continue to do an excellent job here on the island of Nevis. Of course, with limited resources, we have not been able to have the resources to provide the health care in terms of curing people from every illness. And so we have emphasized preventative care. Old people say that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we have emphasized prevention, trying as much as possible to encourage our people, and I'm going to use the word again, to be responsible. Responsible in the way you eat, responsible in the way you drink, try not to smoke, all of these things, and to ensure that we fight the non-communicable diseases, which are a huge part of our problem here on the island. Diabetes, hypertension, obesity, these are all non-communicable diseases that are creating a huge problem. And so the idea really is for us to encourage our people to do simple lifestyle things. You see how earlier I was encouraging people not to discard of their garbage and trash indiscriminately, not to throw the bottle out the window as they drive. Similarly, if you can just take a moment, half an hour, 45 minutes a day to do a little exercise, if you can control what you eat, control how much you drink, if you need to drink at all, try not to smoke. If you're having sex, have protected sex. These are the kinds of things that can ensure that you prevent the onset of illness. All of us are going to get ill, but if you can delay it for as long as possible, then you live a happier, healthier life, and it also ensures that our people do not have to spend as much, because one thing we have learned is that trying to cure people from illness is a very expensive undertaking. And so I encourage our people to go out for the soca size that's happening this Saturday. It's being organized by the Health Promotion Unit. It is happening right there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park at 6 a.m. And as they've indicated, you get a package, you get your refreshments, and they're asking you to call 469-5521. Ask for the Health Promotion Unit and they will tell you how to register. As I am talking about that, let me also say that on the night of the 14th, that's Saturday I believe as well, that we are going to have our Heroes Day concert, a National Heroes Day concert. As you know, we celebrate our 41st anniversary of independence on the 19th of September. And that Heroes Day concert will feature Taurus Riley, reggae sensation out of Jamaica. It will also feature Mr. Killer, who's a soca sensation out of Grenada, somebody who has won the Trinidad Soca Monarch competition, and a number of local acts from Nevis and St. Kitts. The concert is free. We have tried our very best each year to provide a free concert, and as usual we ask people to wear their national colors or bring their national flag, something to wave. It's all about showing pride. And so that's what's happening on the island of Nevis on Saturday the 14th. And so we invite everyone to come out and to be a part of that celebration this coming Saturday night. It will be at the Cultural Village, and we hope to see a bumper crowd. It is free. I believe the activity starts around 8 o'clock, and so 8 p.m. that is, and so we encourage you to come out and to be a part of that. I just want to extend my thanks to Abernathy Liebert, who has been one of the principal organizers, and young Anthony Gager. Incidentally, I'm told he's celebrating his birthday today, so happy birthday, AJ, if you're listening. But I want to thank them. They have really spearheaded this effort, and we look forward to having a good show. And while I'm on that, let me also place on record my gratitude to the federal government, because under this Dr. Jew-led federal government, they have allocated a budget each year for independence celebrations, and they have allocated a portion of that budget to the island of Nevis. They did so last year, they're doing so again this year, and I'm very grateful to them for that. I like to be open and transparent, and I like to give thanks where thanks is due. It has never happened before in the history of the country that any budget has been prepared for independence that included the island of Nevis. And so I'm thankful that the federal government has seen it fit, seeing that independence is a national undertaking. And so we are having some of the costs associated with independence each year defrayed by the federal government through that provision that they've made. And so I say thank you and go on record to say that. You know, I get the question all the time, oh, are things better? Oh, you're doing better. Oh, you do this, you do that. And I always say to people that we are working together. We are working towards a better place for St. Kitts and Nevis, and whilst we know we have not yet come up with a formula in relation to this fair share, as we have called it, the reality is that Nevis has been doing well in terms of what has been made available to us in the circumstances. And so we need, of course, to continue to press and continue to ensure that we get to a point where the people of Nevis are certain as to what that share will look like. But for now, I believe a number of initiatives, including this initiative, have demonstrated that the island of Nevis is being included in a way that we were never included before. And so I'm grateful for that, and I'm hopeful that that can continue and to grow and develop. I was talking, ladies and gentlemen, about us being responsible. I want to move on from that and just to speak a moment before I open the lines fully about Culturama 50 and our homecoming celebration. When the Honorable Eric Evelyn, the best Minister of Culture we've ever had, said that this year we have Culturama 50, your cabinet, which is always thinking, always trying to come up with new ideas, we said, listen, for Culturama 40 we had a homecoming celebration. Let's do so again. And let's start to encourage Nevisians abroad to come home. Those in St. Kitts as well, come home. And so we started right on the show. I believe those who are regular listeners of the show will admit that it was a constant entreaty by me, constant encouragement by me, that our people should come home and should be a part of Culturama 50, that we are making preparations for them and that we wanted them here with us. That was, I believe, the approach that we took to encourage our people to come. And our people, praise be to God, responded in overwhelming numbers. Our people came home, they were here, they saw, they looked on, they observed, they participated, and I am very pleased to say tonight that I have some numbers to support that. And I just want to take a moment, because a lot of times when we talk about these events, people say, oh, Culturama don't make any money. And they're right. Culturama doesn't make any money at the gate. The government doesn't recoup what it spends on Culturama each year. But just like Music Festival in St. Kitts, Carnival in St. Kitts, Culturama here, Mango Festival, the idea really is to generate activity in the economy. And I want to read some numbers to you. At the Vance Amory Airport, and this is for the period July 27th to August 11th. So this is the official period of Culturama 2024. At the Vance Amory International Airport, we had some 899 passengers. A throughput, and when I say a throughput, please understand what I'm saying, arriving and departing. Arriving and departing. Some 899 passengers in that period of time. I believe July 27 to August 11 looks like 2 weeks. 899 passengers moved through the Vance Amory Airport in that 2-week period for 2024. When you compare that to the same period in 2023, we had 534 people who moved through the airport in that 2-week period. We know the state of the facility there and the fact that a lot of the infrastructure there is obsolete. So we know that the Vance Amory International Airport is not our main portal yet for bringing people into and out of Nevis. We'll get to how we're going to improve that, but at this point we know that it has some limitations. So these flights are larger than small flights, the Cape Air, the Transanguilla, etc. that come. 899 persons went through the Vance Amory International Airport over the period 2 weeks, July 27 to August 11, 2024. That compares favorably to the 534 persons that went through that airport in the same period in 2023. Let's look at the Orly water taxi. For the 2-week period of July 27 to August 11, 2024, some 17,027 people pass through the Orly water taxi facility, coming and going. 17,027 persons pass through the Orly water taxi. That compares in the same period last year, 2023, to 10,593 persons. So put differently, you had over 7,000 or thereabouts more people passing through this year than last year through the Orly water taxi facility. 17,027 people. 1.5 times almost the population of Nevis is what went through the Orly water taxi facility in the 2 weeks of Culturama and our homecoming celebration this year. Last year, that same number was 10,593. Then in Charlestown, where the other ferries come in, this year we had 19,296 persons traveling through the Charlestown ferry, going back and forth in the 2-week period of Culturama and our homecoming. 19,296 persons, and that compares to 18,015 persons who traveled through Charlestown last year. I say that to say, at the airport we went from 534 passengers last year to 899 passengers this year. At Orly we went from 10,593 passengers last year to 17,027 passengers this year. And in Charleston we went from 18,015 passengers last year to 19,296 passengers this year. When I add these numbers together, 18 and 10, 28,000, just about 29,000 total passengers we saw moving through our ports of Charleston, Orly and Van Samry in 2023. And then we had 36, just about 38,000 passengers going through our ports of Charleston, Orly and Van Samry for Culturama 50 and our homecoming celebration in 2024. So the numbers have been absolutely remarkable. But those were passengers. Let me now look at the statistics that we have for the MV iConnect. That is one of the car ferries. We do not have any statistics for the Sea Bridge. And over the same period of 27th July to 11th August, the period of Culturama, we had the iConnect moving 1,025 vehicles back and forth, a total of 1,025 vehicles. Those vehicles, of course, would have been going between St. Kitts and Nevis. So it gives a sense. Now, where did all these people go? They stayed in guest houses, they stayed in hotels, they went to the supermarket, they rented villas, they ate at the restaurants. That's what they did. And I believe that when good ideas come to fruition and the execution of those ideas brings the benefits that were anticipated, that we as a people ought to celebrate together. We have come up with this terminology. We say we are growing Nevis together, and that is a demonstration of the growth of this island and the ideas and good policies that this government has brought to the fore. The homecoming and Culturama 50 were a resounding success. Minister Evelyn, you must be fast asleep now, I assume. No, it is actually morning where you are. But thank you for your efforts. Abernathy, thank you for your efforts. The entire Culturama committee, all the sponsors, all the participants, thank you for your effort. This Culturama was one for the books, and the numbers don't lie. The people responded, our people came home in large numbers, and we say thank you. We saw American Airlines put out some statistics for July. And I smiled because I know that most of those people were headed to Nevis. So, Culturama and our homecoming also benefited St. Kitts. People who came and had their family reunions, some people stayed at hotels in St. Kitts. In fact, that entire group that came from Bermuda, I'm told, stayed at a hotel in St. Kitts. I said it was the Marriott and I was corrected. It wasn't the Marriott. It was another property along the stretch there. I can't remember the name now, but that's where they stayed. And so, these numbers speak for themselves. I want to thank NASPA. I want to thank Mr. Brandy and the entire team over there, because this type of volume of passengers couldn't have been easy to manage, but they managed it and they did it well. And I think that we ought all to be proud. Ladies and gentlemen, just a few other small items before I open the lines. I passed by the Bath Stream renovation project today, and I'm happy to report that the project is practically complete. The signs have now gone up, and I am very, very impressed with what I've seen there. I want to publicly applaud Permanent Secretary John Hanley, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, because he had the foresight, the temperament, and the will. He has been harassing me about this project for many years, and I kept saying, well, we'll try to get the resources together. We eventually did, and the project has been realized. I want to publicly commend Sylvester Mead, who is in charge of our heritage sites, because he took on that project almost as if it was his personal project, almost as if he was building his own home. And he was there morning, noon, and night. And a lot of the little aesthetics that you see there comes from his creativity. And so I want to commend Sylvester Mead as well, because he has stayed with that project. A matter of fact, most of the times when I want to know what's going on, I just call him directly, because like I said, he was there morning, noon, and night. It was a labor of love. I want to commend all the contractors, and we only use local contractors for the landscaping, for the excavation work, electrical work, for all the work that you see there, the building work. My friend Patches, Singerman, all of these folks were there. And Mr. Mills, they did an excellent job. Abju from Bath, Abju, if you're listening, your painting was excellent. We had guys who came out, and consistent with this government's approach to development, everything that was done there was done by local people. Businesses right here on Nevis. And so whatever little money we have to spend, we have been spending it here on local businesses and have it circulate within the local economy. That has been our formula for development and for empowering our people at the same time. I passed it today, and a few little minor matters, they are waiting on some lights and all that, but for the most part, the project is completed. And in the near future, we hope to have an official opening where we will invite the public to come and really see what we have done at the Bath Stream. I think all of us should be proud. In that vein, we have all been very proud, and we've got tremendous kudos for the project at Pinnis, the Malcolm Gishard Park, recreational park, but also the second phase, which was built out involving the bars and restaurants along Pinnis Beach. I want to publicly thank the Republic of China, Taiwan, for their commitment, for their partnership. I remember when I negotiated the park financing with them, that no less a person than President Tsai, the then president of Taiwan, personally came to Nevis to break ground on that project. I want to thank again P.S. John Hanley, because he was the one who was in charge of that project. But the man who was there day to day was Michael Perkins, and I want to publicly commend him and to commend the contractors. Guangzhou was a Taiwanese company that did an excellent job at that park. We have, since the park has been finished, hired persons and sought to maintain that park to the best of our ability. And I want to commend certainly the manager there, Mr. Dane Sandiford, and his entire team for keeping the park in a pristine condition. It is for us something that we ought to be proud of. And so, again, just by way of update, that we have some very minor touches that we're doing at the bathrooms, the public bathrooms that have been installed for the first time at Pinneys Beach. And the latest report that I've had is that everything should be completed this week. We will have a transformer to erect to deal with the power issues down there, and then the next phase of that is we will try to put all of the power and utilities underground. And so that is what we are seeking to do now, and we hope again to have a formal opening of that sometime soon. But I believe that if you are fair, and from the reports that we've had, certainly from those who visited, that facility has been a worthwhile investment. We have now, I believe, 8 bars and restaurants down there, and I'm hopeful that they continue to do well and that they continue to contribute in a meaningful way to the life and times of this island of Nevis. As I close off this session and open the lines, I want to say one final matter, and that has to do with the numbers that we have seen and that I have just reported on for visits to Nevis, and particularly for the movements between St. Kitts and Nevis. It speaks to me in 2 ways. One, it says to me that the interconnectivity of these 2 islands is actually getting better. I say that because when we look at the numbers, let me just, for those who may have just tuned in, we had in 2024, over the Culturama period, some 38,000 people that moved between Charlestown, Orly, Van Samry Airport, in and out. And certainly if they're moving between Charleston and Orly, a significant number of those are probably Kittitians coming back and forth, Nivisians going back and forth. It says to us that the level of connectivity at the people-to-people level between our brothers and sisters in Nevis and those in St. Kitts has improved and continues to improve, because we saw something like 8,000 more people. In fact, no, closer to 10,000 more people coming than last year over the same period. That, I think, says that the effort that we have made in Nevis, and it has been a very deliberate effort. You all remember me all during COVID telling our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts to come over and stay the weekend and see Nevis, visit this part of their country. And many came, and you know how sweet it sounds to me when so many of them tell me they fell in love with Nevis, because some of them had never been to Nevis, believe it or not. Some of them know they had family here, but they had no idea where. No concept of Nevis. In fact, I met a couple, my good friend, I won't call his name, but if he's listening, he knows who I'm talking about. Just recently at the Malcolm Gishard Park, they were at Seal My Sip, having something to eat. And he said to me that he is regularly here, he and his family, and this is their spot because they love it so much. I want our people to understand that that didn't just happen, you know. That again was deliberate. It was policy that the cabinet came up with. Listen, we're going to encourage our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts to come. This is your country. Come see it. Come see this part of it. And guess what? It takes me to my second point. That we invested in the water taxi facility in order to make it easier for people to move back and forth. And I challenge anyone out there to call in tonight and say that that investment, the brainchild of the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, has not been a resounding success. Because it has been. That water taxi facility has transformed St. Kitts and Nevis. Simple as it may look. And Alexis, Zook, Jeffers, wherever you are, take a bow, because this was your idea. It was implemented by you. And you took a lot of licks for it too. A lot of naysayers. But we went ahead with it, and look at this. This year for Culturama alone, 17,027 people used the water taxi over at Wally. Last year, 10,593. This year, they add 7,000 to that. Everybody now jump on the water taxi. Boy, I'm going to run sink it's 5 minutes, boop you over. Boy, I'm going to go over and have dinner. Fella tell me there that he'd go over and go Spratnet on a Saturday. Just go over and lime at Spratnet, because guess what? You can go back and forth all 10, 11 o'clock at night. You know, sometimes when the ship sailing so smoothly, when things running so well, you know what tends to happen? We start to take it for granted. And we start to say, oh, nothing happening, because we're sleeping in our bed so comfortably, you're not even feeling the rocking of the waves. Because the captain hand so steady. You're not feeling a thing. You start to say, oh man, I know that's a nothing. Anytime you take that water taxi, anytime you go through that water taxi facility, I want you to recall and remember that it was not always so. It took a government and a cabinet with the good sense to support that. And look at the benefits. Look at the fact that you now have several local Nevis companies offering water taxi services. Look at the number of people that are employed. Look at the number of people that now use that facility. Look at how it has benefited our taxi drivers, our restaurants, because people now come over from St. Kitts to have dinner, to just have a night out in Nevis, and then they go back. The convenience of it all. And vice versa. Many divisions are finding themselves in St. Kitts now for the evening to get away with their loved ones and their families. We have, ladies and gentlemen, created something there at that Owali water taxi facility. We have created something from nothing. And we have, by so doing, injected considerable life into the local economy here. You jump on the water taxi now, you walk down on the pier, and you go in the departure area, enjoy the AC. You then walk down on the pier, 5 minutes you're in St. Kitts. You don't even think about it. No, you just say, man, what the big deal? This was always the case. And sometimes we have to just remind our people, because the people who use it the most used to criticize it the most. They were against the idea. Against it. Did whatever they could. And when we said we're going to ignore the noise, I said to Alexis, I said, Zook, put on some blinders and some blinkers. Just get the job done. And that's exactly what he did. He got the job done. And look now at Nevis's pride and joy. You know the amount of blows I get politically. They say, oh, I get money from St. Kitts, what I do with the money. And I tell them, well, when you walk on the pier, you think it no cost money. The building over there, to build that facility, we had to buy a house, you know. There's a gentleman who had a house right there. We bought the house to get access. It looked like some people think you could have built a water taxi pier in the air. We had to buy the house. Then that gave us the access that we needed. Then we built the pier. And then we renovated the house and transformed that into the reception area. That's what we did. And I continue to say it, and I'm going to say it tonight again because it's important. that whilst the criticisms of my government have come, we have used our resources in Nevis to spend on things that are necessary for the sustainable development of this island. We use money to develop water and water resources. Nevis now has the best, and I challenge anybody to question that, the best storage and distribution system for water in the Eastern Caribbean. The best. And we currently have drillers here at work trying to get additional water, and we're currently building a small desalination plant. So when you ask what we did with money, we invested in water. When you ask what we did with money, we bought generators for Nevlik. Brand new Wärtsilä generators. Not one, not two, but three. What did we do? We built the water taxi pier. And you see from the numbers that now has become a critical artery for trade and for transportation and for the movement of people and goods and services on the island of Nevis and St. Kitts, because it benefits St. Kitts too. What have we done? We moved our firemen and policemen out of a rat and bat infested station in Newcastle and built the best fire and police station in the country. Oh, they look like Four Seasons. If you don't take my word for it, drive over there and see it for yourself. The Treasury building in town was burnt down. We built it back and erected a modern building in Charlestown. We created a 30-acre fruit orchard at Indian Castle, where we planted some 5,000 plus coconut palms, which I'm told, by the way, are now bearing, and which is a sight to behold. We built roads, Hanley's Road, Rollins, Brownhill, Bath, Braziers, Shaw's Road, Island Main Road. We built out our CCTV infrastructure. And for me, above all else, we ensured that every single government worker during the COVID-19 pandemic was paid in full and on time. Even when the country was shut down, we made that commitment to our public servants that you will get your money, every cent of it, on payday. And we accomplished that. So when people say, oh, where are you spending money on? The evidence is there. We did not squander it or fritter it away. The water system, the electricity system, the water taxi, the Newcastle police station and fire station, the CCTV coverage that we have now, the roads. Well, I can't take them up and take them anywhere with me, you know. These are there for the development of Ireland, the use of all of our people. And it is because of the vision of the CCM-led administration and the spending on infrastructural projects such as those that we could say that for Culturama 50, 17,027 passengers moved through Oali. You all hear what I say? 17,027 passengers in 2 weeks moved through Oali. How that would have happened if your government did not invest. Go over there now and see the number of youngsters working for Islander Water Sports, working for Blue Wave, working for the other companies. Go on, see. and ask yourself the question, could any of that have been possible if you did not have the government to create the enabling environment to make it possible? Shift your attention to Charlestown, if you will. Look at the various operators who have come in and operating out of Charlestown. The fact that they keep investing, buying more boats. Well, you think that just happened overnight? It happens because the environment for investment is a conducive environment that the government again has created the environment for people to now benefit. And you know what I love about it? Even though some of them don't like me and they love to cuss me, is our own local people. And when they do well, I am happy. Even though they don't like me, I am happy because I understand what it is like to empower our local people. That is what we are about. Look at them. We have created an environment in Nevis where we say, when we're going to spend, we're going to give our people the first opportunity. We're not going to tell them they can't do it. We're not going to tell them go sit down. We're not going to tell them go practice, learn how to drive. We are going to invest in them. And that is what we have done. I heard recently, I don't even know what to call them, because 3 failures who are on radio from time to time, I don't know why of all the people that the NRP has, they keep putting these 3 failures as their spokespeople. The only thing that the 3 of them together has accomplished is nothing. Only thing they have accomplished is nothing. 3 of them. And all they do is attack and attack and attack. Will you do what you're best at? Because if you have no success to talk about in your life, you've failed at everything you've touched, then go ahead and attack. But recently, they turned their venom on a young, accomplished educator and on our junior minister of health. Both young women, both from the great parish of St. Thomas's. And the things they had to say, the way they tried to denigrate these young women. And what is the sin? One has been appointed a minister of government and the other has been appointed a principal of a school. And the 2 of them support CCM. And so that is the sin. And to hear the characterization. One of them said, this girl come back from school. This is not language I would normally use on Van, but I want people to hear it. Come back on school, don't know she ass from she elbow. That's why she said it for the young lady. And they just take her up and give she big job. And I just reflected on how sad, how pathetic that you could have 3 failures, Mutt, Jeff and Buster, who would use their time attacking 2 young, educated and accomplished women who are trying to do something to help and develop their country. And to say of them that they don't know their ass from their elbow. And then I reflected and I say, you know something? I'm not surprised, I shouldn't be surprised. Because it was the same NRP who told us that when our young professionals came back, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. That was no lesser man than the Premier of Nevis. Told them that they don't know what they're doing. They must go practice, learn how to drive, as justification for giving all the work to a foreign firm. We can't forget these things. And the more things change, the more they remain the same. Because I'm saying to myself, but the NRP now says that they're about women. They have a woman leader. And they got these 3 old men. 3 old men who continue to curse young women, denigrate young women. And I say, but where is the female leader who's talking about uplifting women in the country? Because there is not one person that we have appointed to any of those positions that is unqualified. They went to school, they have their degrees, they have come back, they have the drive and the ambition, they're in the vision, and they're willing and able to contribute. Well, that is how you build a country. That is how you build a country. You can't build a country when you're telling your own people there's no room for you. I have said to our people, what I want from you is to come home. You must come home. That is what I want. I want people to come home, move back to Nevis, get involved, invest in Nevis. And if you're not ready yet to move back, go ahead and invest. Get active. That's what I am encouraging. You have the other side who's telling people, no room here for you. Because you don't know your ass from your elbow. Put differently, you don't know anything and you have nothing to contribute to Nevis. That is their position. And to say that of young women, educated young women, and young women from St. Thomas's, I thought to myself, that's 3 strikes. And you know what? I don't hear murmur from the female leader of the NRP. I don't hear murmur from the other females who were candidates for the NRP. I don't hear them coming out and condemning these types of attacks, misogynistic attacks on women. I don't hear them say anything. And that's why I say it's the same old khaki pants. Maybe now some of them wearing lipstick and skirt and some new green frock that they just buy. But it's the same approach. And you just need to listen to them to understand that is the same old NRP. Ladies and gentlemen, I've talked for far too long. I'm going to open the lines and take a few calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call, and let's go straight to the phones and say good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening to you, my dear.
Ephesians 4, verse 31 and 32. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Christ has forgiven you. Good night.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for your patience. I was trying to update tonight, and so I'm grateful for that scripture as always. It is 20 minutes past the hour 9 o'clock. It means we have 40 minutes left before the band strikes up and we have to go. So please call in 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. We go straight back to the phones and say good evening. You're on the mark.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you.
I want to welcome back Dr. Rockavis. When I saw him, I just jumped and hugged him. Such a nice doctor. I would like to welcome him back to Nevis.
Yes.
Which I told him already, but I want to welcome him publicly. Mr. Brantley, he's here for a while?
He has been here for a while already.
I mean if he has stayed in.
Well, you may ask him if he's staying. He's here on contract, and we're hopeful that that relationship lasts as long as possible.
Oh, okay.
You know?
And secondly, I want to touch on the ambulance. Mr. Brantley, I can sit from my restaurant and look straight at the roundabout. When the ambulance starts to blow, you can hear it from the head of Government Road. You drive, come across, you hear the ambulance blowing.
You don't know if it's going to turn down by Rams, if it's going straight along Point, or going to turn up to Gingerland area. And when they hear they start to speed up and thing, and the ambulance start to dive in and dive out. And I want to say to the public, right, you do not know if the ambulance is going for somebody, for you. It could be your mother, it could be your sister, it could be one of your child. When you hear the ambulance blow, Mr. Brantley, please encourage them to pull aside. Number 3, me like somebody hot bath, I won't tell a lawyer, go right down there, pull up me back of my car and sit down get the fresh cool breeze underneath the big tree. Have a good night.
Thank you very much for that, caller. And, you know, I started this show tonight talking about people being responsible. This is not the first time you've called in and talked about the ambulance. And I just want to echo what you're saying, because in a way it is unfortunate that the people like yourself have to call in to tell Nevis people what they know. You hear the ambulance is coming all around the world, you know that you pull over. Let the ambulance through because it means that there's an emergency somewhere. But instead of that, again, the behavior. Remember I say, what is the magic of Switzerland? It comes down to people. The behavior. And the police need to do more. We need to get out there. We need to enforce the law. And you know the sad part, caller, is when the police enforces the law. When there is now a zero tolerance approach, the same people start to cry out, you know. Oh, imagine they give me a ticket of $500. That ain't right. Well, Lord, you could avoid all that by just doing what you know to be right in the first place. So I absolutely endorse what you're saying, and I pray to God you don't have to call in this radio station to say it again, because by my memory this is at least the second time that you have called in to raise that same concern. Ladies and gentlemen on the road, when the ambulance coming through, you pull aside and you let the ambulance pass through. That's common sense 101. That's responsible citizen 101. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Caller, are you there? Okay, caller, we've lost you. Please call back in. We apologize for that. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. So if you can call back in, we would certainly appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of responsibility and responsible behavior, it permeates everything that we do as a society. The government has to be responsible in the decisions that we make. Our people have to be responsible in the decisions that they make. Responsibility is the hallmark of any civilized and sustainable society. People have to play their roles and play them in a sensible, pragmatic, and responsible way. This evening, on my way here, I learned of yet another shooting incident on the island of Nevis that resulted in the death of a young man. I want to, of course, as I always do, extend condolences to the family of that young man. I know the family very well. In fact, the mother and I have had a good relationship for many, many years. But I also want to use the opportunity to appeal yet again to our people that crime and violence, criminality, does not pay. It will land us in one of two places: the jailhouse or the cemetery. And I don't know how many more examples we need for our people, especially our young people, to realize that. To wake up, do something responsible with their lives, and ensure that they are an asset not a liability to their country. I am hopeful that I don't have to say anything more about anybody dying in this way again, because I know that we can make the difference if only we choose to work with each other, work with the police, work with our social services, and to get the help that is necessary to ensure that these tragedies do not continue to happen. Let me go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, Mr. Mark, how are you doing?
I am well, thank you.
I just called to remind about the shooting that I had in Nevis today. And that gentleman, 27 years old, and just make it today. And he gets killed just like that.
I'm hearing you, caller. Go ahead.
Yes. And it's so sad to hear this kind of news in Nevis. It's not nice, it's not good.
Well, it's not good.
No, it's not good at all. It is not good. These young people got to put down the guns. Too much of life are taken just like that. Then not even animal, then shooting, to eat. Because you hardly see them shoot animals. But when you say now, the young children them die more than the animals. And these things have to done and this thing have to stop. But I hope, Lord Father, have mercy on we little island where we used to call Queen City. Lovely people, friendly people. Wow. What happened to Nevis? What happened to St. Kitts? The CM Federation is terrible. It's not nice, it's not good. And then what? The parents and them they crying out. But that can't hurt nothing. They don't die. Those who gone behind don't die. But Lord, what we have to do? Pray for them? We have to do something with this. Because it's not nice. It is not good. What happened to little Nevis? When you could have walked the street free, it don't look so anymore. People are dying. And especially the young ones. They might be young, the youth, for today and for tomorrow. But when you look at it, you're not going to have no youth for today, not for tomorrow. Because when you look at it, they're going down the drain. They're going down the drain. And where the drain is? In the burying ground and in prison. It is not nice for me. It is not nice.
Okay.
And the mothers, the parents then, you got the children, but sometimes, I could say, no, you should make the children then is the parents. And that is not nice. You should be able to speak to your boys. You should be able to speak to your girls. You can't obey the rules for an apartment.
All right, caller. Thank you.
Because them only bring down Nevis and St. Kitts for the whole federation. It's not nice. Look, all over the world, I listen to that. Even it happened today. Right now, it's on Facebook. Latin Fabs, 27 years old, he just met today. And he did right on his birthday. That is not nice. And you have a pleasant night here.
Thank you very much.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay. Thank you. And
you're welcome. You're welcome.
You have said so much, and I hear the passion in your voice, and all of us want this nonsense to stop. But we can't stop it on our own. The people who are involved in it must also want to stop it. You touch on the parents. That's a big part of the problem, because I keep saying that we are raising these children. These people who are committing these heinous crimes, we are the ones raising them. Well, what is it that is so wrong with us that we are raising these types of children? People love to blame and point fingers, and they blame Dr. Drew, they blame Mark Brantley, they blame. But at the end of the day, what are we doing What are we doing? And it is important that the entire society takes responsibility, because these criminals, they're from among us, you know. They are our neighbor. We went to school with them. Boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister, cousin. And so we need to take collective responsibility. And only when we do so, I believe, we'll be able to get to the bottom of this thing and stamp it out forever. So I hear your pain, caller. I share your pain, and I am hopeful that we won't have to deal with this anymore. That this vengeance and this tit for tat and, you know, you kill my dog, I'll kill your cat, and going back and forth, that can stop, and stop once and for all. Look at the numbers of lives, number of lives lost already this year. And for what? To whose benefit? We don't know what contribution those 27 persons could have made to this country, because most of them are young people. You say the victim today is 27. What contribution they could have made? At 27, you are not even. The good Lord says 70. So at 27, you're just getting into the first furlong. And life is so sweet. That's why people spend their last in order to extend their life as long as possible. Life is so sweet. The ability to get up in the morning and take a deep breath and thank God for giving you life and health and strength. And even where people don't have the health and strength, they still want to hold on to life. Well, if life could be so sweet, how some people don't care about it? How some people just do not care and will take another's life like how you snap your finger, like a bottle cap. Just take off the bottle and discard it. We need to really do some soul searching, some deep soul searching, to ask ourselves, when did we get like this? Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air, caller.
Mr. Mark Brantley, good night.
Good night to you.
I've been hearing you preaching over and over, talking about these young men having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children and all different women. Right now I'm looking for a lawyer. I want you to help me. Find me out your Culturama, please.
Call, I'm not hearing you. So you're looking for a lawyer?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, where you can't find a lawyer? You got plenty of lawyers in town.
I can't find one. I want you to tell me where to go, please.
You want me to tell you where to go to find a lawyer?
Yes, please.
And I'm sure you walk in town right now, you're bumping to 10. They're all over the place.
Just tell me exactly. That's what they do, all over the place.
Well,
just tell me exactly.
Well, I don't know what you're asking me. If you need a lawyer, it's like telling me you need to buy a light bulb. You go TDC, you go Hasfords, you go where the place down there named Island Tires or someplace that sell light bulbs. Lawyer firms are all over Charlestown. You have Myrna Walwin, you have Jeffrey Nisbet, you have Daniel Brantley, you have Jerry Webb. You got them. I can't remember all of them. You got a ton load of lawyers, and if you can't find one in Nevis, there's another ton load in St. Kitts.
I went and they say they don't do this. They don't do this no more.
They don't do this no more. You have a legal matter that they don't handle.
Well, the one that I wanted, it needs support the child.
Uh-huh.
That's why I want one for.
Okay. Well, caller, you know what? I'm gonna give you my number. You could take a note of it and just send me a message off here, and I'll try to see if I can find someone to help you. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Wait. Let me get the number 662
Yes.
6003.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Thanks.
Okay, it is 26 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. We're looking forward to your calls as you come in and be a part of the show. We've been talking about many things this evening. We've been talking about crime and violent crime. We've been talking about people taking responsibility, personal responsibility. That is my mantra. Actions have consequences, and to take personal responsibility for your health, for your financial situation, for what you do, the decisions that you make, the cleanliness of the island. All of these are important. If at the individual level we will have no crime on the island of Nevis, if at the individual level we took responsibility and made the right decisions. And that is what I continue to encourage us to do. Government and the police and everybody has their role to play. But if you took personal responsibility and you tell yourself, I am not going to go down that road, I'm not going to engage myself in that. If you were to do that, pretty soon the police would have no work to do. The courts would have no work to do. And there will be no need for us to be wasting time constantly blaming somebody else. Because it comes down to individuals taking decisions. All of us have in us, good and bad, in equal measure. Question that we must always ask ourselves is which part of us we will allow to rule, the good or the bad. All of us know that we have been in a position in our lives where we can go left or right. It is a decision that we must take. You can't take the decision for me, and I can't take the decision for you. You must take it for yourself. And that is what we must, as leaders, encourage in our people. The sense of personal responsibility. If you're a man and you're out there having 7, 8, 10, 15 children because you want to boast that you got 15 children, you must be able to afford them. You must be able to maintain them. If you can't maintain them, then you're being a fool and you're being irresponsible. And nobody must pat you on your back and call you Dandada because you got 15 picnic when you now support them. No, you are a fool. And those 15 children deprived of that support are part of the reason why we got problems down the road. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, Premier Brantley.
Good evening to you.
Forward. Good show. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And by the way you talk, you're fine.
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to read Psalm 67, and I'm reading the whole 7 verses. God be merciful unto us and bless us, and cause his face to shine upon us, Selah, that thy way may be known upon the earth, thy saving health among all nations. Let the people praise thee, O God. Let all the people praise thee. O let the nations be glad and sing for joy. For thou shalt judge the people righteously, and govern the nations upon earth. Selah. Let the people praise thee, O God. Let all the people praise thee. Then shall the earth praise her in peace, and God, even our own God, shall bless us. God shall bless us, and all the ends of the earth shall fear him. This is God's word. He added richest blessings unto it. Have a good night, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the beautiful scripture that you've chosen to read for us. I truly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley. And of course, if you're tuned in, it must mean that you're locked onto the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, VON Radio, the voice of Nevis. We have about 19 or so minutes based on my clock. Let me double check that. Yes, 19 minutes to be precise. That's left. It means we can take quite a few calls. And if you can call in, please do 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show this evening. We, as I said, have been talking about many things, but let me remind you that the Health Promotion Unit will be having a soca size, that's what they're calling it, as part of our efforts to help our people to lead better and healthier lifestyles. So this Saturday at 6 a.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Park, they're catering for 100 people, and they will have a exercise packed for you. They will have refreshments for you, and this is interesting because they're going to have a silent party. That is, you will have the headphones, so you will be doing your soca size. She did say, if you can't dance like me, no problem, you can still come, and basically you're exercising to soca music. So that's going to be happening this Saturday. We're asking one and all to go out. To register, please go to the Health Promotion Unit right there in Charlestown, or alternatively you can call 469-5521, which is the government's number, and ask them to connect you to the Health Promotion Unit. So we hope as many people as possible go out and that they get to the 100 marker. That's who they're catering for, and that you can have a good time there on Saturday morning. Once you've got your exercise in on Saturday morning, then get ready for the National Heroes Day concert. We're inviting all to come out from Nevis and St. Kitts. The concert will feature some major acts like Taurus Riley, like Mr. Killer, and a number of local acts. In fact, just tonight as I'm here, let me see if I can pull it up. I got a message that they've added another act. I'm trying to see who that is now. Let me see if I can find the message, but they've added someone. I must confess I'm not as familiar with the name. It is somehow, can't find it now. You know, when you want something is when you have difficulty finding it. But in any event, they've added a young woman called Maricia Ramed, who is apparently a reggae singer as well. She's coming to as part of the introduction to Taurus Riley, and so we have, I think, a packed lineup. Remember, again, the action starts at 8 o'clock and the concert is free. The concert is free. We ask people to be on your best behavior and to come out in your national colors. Bring your flags. We want to have a good time together. Last year, I think people had a great time. We had Romeo and Virgo, we had Christopher Martin and others. This year we're having the great Taurus Riley, we have Mr. Killer and others. And just because I know some people mention it, perhaps I shouldn't even have the need to address it, but Mr. Killer, that's the name of the artist, but his music is all about soca. It's about fun. There are no gangster lyrics, there are no anything like that. So I just want to clarify for people who seem to have a difficulty with his name, that, well, that's the name he has chosen and we can't control that, but certainly the music that he brings is music that is fun and that is soca music. So we are hopeful that people come out in their numbers and support and be a part of this historic concert. So this Saturday night is a big concert here on the island of Nevis. All roads lead to Nevis on Saturday, and as I indicated, the concert is free. And so we ask you to come out and be a part of it. Yes, 8 p.m. Saturday, September 14th at the Nevis Cultural Village, free admission, and we invite one and all. I hope to see all my friends from St. Kitts over, and I hope to see people, man, even if you're in Anguilla and so on, you want to come see Taurus Riley, come on over. You know, St. Martin, come on over. Just jump on Winnier, come on over. In fact, you could take the Winnier. Winnier comes in Saturday at 6. You just jump on Winnier. From there, you go, have a few drinks, you have something to eat, and then you head to the concert for 8 o'clock, and we are going to have a good time here. And so we invite one and all to be a part of this historic Heroes Day concert. And again, I thank the federal government for their including Nevis in their budget for independence celebrations, recognizing that independence celebrations are by their nature a national event. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. We've been having a number of discussions this evening, debates, contributions coming in from callers, and I just would like to say that I'm grateful for that. I think the country can benefit from more debate, more discussion, but discussion and debate that is intended to ultimately find solutions for some of the problems that we have. Oftentimes we hear a lot of what I would call noise, because there are people who just talk because they have a tongue in their head. In fact, sometimes I think they talk without even engaging their brain, so they just end up talking rubbish. We need reasoned conversation. I'm not saying that everybody needs to agree, but we need a level of discourse in the country where even if we do not agree, we do not need to be disagreeable. So there's a difference between disagreeing with someone and being disagreeable, and that is something I think we need to learn and we need to practice. Now, I had a little experience, and I'm going to share it with you because I took it to social media, that I ran into a particular gentleman and said hello to him, good morning, and he stiffened up himself, stoops his mouth, and did not answer. And I've had that experience with him before, but that's his problem, not mine. So I continue to speak whenever I encounter people, good morning, good afternoon, because that's how Vicky raised me. I then went to church, and while I'm at the church, it turns out that this same gentleman is some bigwig at the church, and the pastor asked him to come up to pray. And I'm at the church, you know, and the gentleman come up to pray. I don't know who he was praying for, I guess for the congregation. He was saying a prayer, and I actually was there wondering, but I wonder if I should close my eyes and bow my head and reverence myself for a prayer from this man who just the day before I saw and spoke to, and his response was so rude and offensive. And so I put it on social media and I asked the question, and it was actually quite interesting because the majority of people said, bow your head and reverence yourself, because you're not in church for him, you're in church for God. And I think that was very good advice. And what it also said to me is that our people, our Nivision and Kittitian people, are at core a good and decent people. At core, we are a good and decent people. Because overwhelmingly the position of people is like, don't repay this man in kind. He has been called up in the church to pray. Reverence yourself and say a prayer, because you're in church not for him. And we know that there are false prophets, of course. There are many who are dressed up in the garment but are not living the life, because their heart is not pure. But it is not for us to judge. There's only one judge, and that's God. And so I've taken the advice. And somebody asked me, well, when you see him again, you're going to say hello again? And the answer is yes. I'm going to say hello, and I'll keep saying hello. And if he stiffens up and he stoops again, that's a matter for him, not for me. I want to, in the closing moments, address one last matter. I don't, in addressing this, mean to cause any controversy, but I think it's important that I say what I'm going to say. I have seen some business operators, mostly small business operators in the Federation, and they keep taking their business to social media. I'm talking about their personal business. That's bad enough. I'm talking about their business's business, the business of their business. They keep taking it to social media. So they will come online and they start to berate people, and this customer come in and this customer need not come back to them, or this person owe them money and wouldn't pay them their money, and that kind of thing. And I had reason to engage with a young man. In fact, somebody who I quite admire because I've heard of his skills and I've really been positive and supportive of this young man because I think he's going places. And he came on social media to make noise about not getting paid for whatever he had done. And I thought to myself, why use social media? Why come on Facebook with this when you have avenues available to you to get the contract in the first place? You didn't get it on social media. You got it through engagement through the proper channels. So why not deal with the proper channels in a professional way, ensuring that your business is protected, the reputation of your business is protected? And there's some people who responded to that positively and negatively. But I recognize that some people appear to have been upset with me because we live in a society where you're not supposed to provide any contrary opinion or any guidance. But at my age now, I think I am more than qualified to provide guidance to young people. Because I've been there, I've seen it, and I've done it all. And my thing to our young people is, listen, not everything is for social media. And a lot of people who will egg you on and tell you you're right to cuss them, you're right to whatever, they're not going to spend a penny with you. And they're not going to help your business grow. We need, as business people, particularly small businesses, and when I emphasize small businesses, because you're tiny, you don't have the resources to sustain any long periods of drought. And you're operating in a very small space. The market here is very small. So when you decide to take your business to social media and to talk about things there that you could discuss privately with your client, with your customer, you don't think that other customers are looking on, other people are looking on and say, boy, me not hire he, you know. If I saw he behave, me can't go chop a she store, you know, if I saw she behave. You do more damage to yourselves. And I don't understand, as somebody said to me today, well, what people used to do before they had Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and thing, what them used to do? When they have a problem, they come out and they start to shout in the sky. What is it they used to do? Because we're in an environment now where every single thing that happens, we must jump on social media to cuss somebody or to talk about it or to say, I just went down to the store and this is what happened. Somebody just come in my shop and then I come back here and I want them back here. How does that help to build you? To help you to develop your little business? Because other people are looking at other people and say, oh, well, I was thinking of hiring you, but if I saw you behave, I might be the next person you drag. So let me leave you where you are. And then what happened now? You see the business now dries up. And you start to cuss all kind of people. You cuss the government and all. Say things bad. But you don't look at how you have behaved. And how by and through your own behavior you have caused potential customers not to call you, not to patronize your business because of your behavior. So my advice is simple. Keep your business private. Social media is a great place to engage with people, but It is a beautiful servant, but don't let it become your master. And too many people are emotional in terms of their makeup, their personality, and they take that emotion the minute something happens and they run on social media with it. And once you put it out there, you can't take it back. So I am just appealing to our people, particularly our business people, because I think those people who know me know that I am an avid supporter of small businesses. The big businesses are going to take care of themselves. But we have been pushing small business. The government has even been doing little ads for small businesses. We have been out there and we're saying, listen, that is the direction that we need. We need more entrepreneurs on the island. We have put money aside for small businesses. We have been encouraging women and youth in particular to get involved in a business. Put your idea to work for you. And so as part of my commitment to small businesses, I'm also saying to you, keep your business private. You see social media? It's a great tool for advertising. So if you must go on there with your business, let it be that you put up your menu. You put up what services you offer. You put up your opening hours. You let people know if you're having a sale or a special. That's what you must be using it for. As a tool, as your servant, not as your master. You start to cuss people and say this and say that about people. The same people who you then expect to come and be your clients. And if even your attitude is, well, I don't want she or he to come back to do anything with me, other people are looking on. Say, oh, I saw he behave. Oh, I saw she behave. Let me now go by she. And I just think that our people need to pause. My father, Irvin Brantley of blessed memory, he said something to me once that has stuck with me. He said, most decisions taken in anger turn out to be bad decisions. When you're emotional and you make decisions based on being emotional, they tend to be bad decisions. Learn sometimes to take a deep breath, take a little walk, calm yourself down, and then function professionally. That's what's critical if the small business community is going to grow and develop. So I don't say this with any malice or with any attempt to attack anybody. I am just encouraging our people to keep their business off social media unless they are advertising their services or their goods. You not got no call and they say you're cussing people. This customer this and this customer that, or this person owe you money and I'll pay you. No, that is not the place for it. And I think we need to learn some of those things and put them into practice. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all who called, all who were part of the show this evening, all who tuned in. I'm hopeful that my brother Eric and the team are doing well in Taiwan, and I'm sure that we'll get a fulsome report from him when he's back. I want to say in closing, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers would have attended a parliamentary event in the United States. He is safely back, and so I welcome him home. And I'm grateful for these opportunities that continue to be provided to our parliamentarians to be exposed and to learn and engage with other parliamentarians around the world. Band is getting louder. It means that we have to go. Again, thank you to everyone. Remember, Soca Size this Saturday, 6 a.m., Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Please be a part of it. Call 469-5521 and ask for the Health Promotion Unit, or go there. They're right there on Jew Street, and register. It's going to be fun. And then on Saturday night, we have a massive free concert at the Cultural Village featuring Mr. Killer, Taurus Riley, and a host of other acts from Nevis and St. Kitts. Please come with your best behavior and wear your national colors. That's our show. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on Von Radio. Thank you for tuning in. Good night and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited